So the win was ugly, to say the least. But on the bright side, a win is still a win. I do think they could have done things better, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They need to block a lot better. I know a lot of people are going to point to the fact that they were blitzing, but I still think you need to open up some kind of lanes. I mean, I don't think Peterson even finished with 60 yards. So that needs to change in order to win games in the future. You know, more helpful sometimes to have a rushing attack that can do a little bit better than 60 to 70 yards. But outside of the and then that really hindered Bridgewater because I think this is getting to the point where we have this could be hindering Teddy Bridgewater's development by forcing it to Peterson when this run game is not there. I know Bridgewater had 2 interceptions in this game, and that's not normal from him, as we usually see maybe none to 1 pick. But this past week he had 2. But I think the first one was actually a bad throw by him. I think he forced it. He was rolling out of the pocket. He was under pressure. And he forced it down the field. That he can learn from. The other one was just a good play by Peters, as I think it was Rudolph that ran a go route, trying to clear it out for Mike Wallace coming underneath. And Peters was looking at Teddy Bridgewater the entire time, and he went off his man and caught the ball. So I don't blame him for that second one. I think it was more of a good play by Peters on that second one. But the offense needs to step it up a little bit, but there is one bright spot. Stephon Diggs can play, apparently. So I know we're judging this off basically 2 games, but I think with time he could be our best receiver on the roster right now, though. So because Wallace isn't doing too much. I mean, he only has 1 touchdown on the year. So there's that. But the defense is for real. That defense is real. Oh my God. So I think they only had something around 52 yards in the first half alone. So there were a couple breakdowns in the second half, but the defense kept them in play. This was obvious. This was a dominant game. The scoreboard doesn't show it, but because the offense struggled. But they were moving the ball with ease. It was just turnovers. So if they're able to score on those drives where they got turnovers, we're looking at more of a lopsided win here, I think. It's not as close as 16-10. It's more of, maybe due to momentum and stuff, we have maybe a potential, maybe 21-3 kind of thing going on. So there's that. Oh, we're good. Okay. Now, sorry for that. And then we also had the holding call, which was missed. Apparently, that was a botched call, but I think we're good without that. We appeared to be okay. So, not too much complaining about that. But it was a great defensive win. The defense really, really outplayed the offense in this. I think that's to be expected at this point, because I don't know if we can I don't know what's going on, but the play calling is not the best, really, on the offensive side of the ball. So, I don't know I just don't like relying on this defense that much, because it is still young. They're going to be inconsistent. You can't rely on them for everything. So, I would like the offense to bail them out sometimes, but, I'll take what I can get. So, but if you look at the upcoming games here, we really don't have too much of an issue with them, I don't think. It's just mainly not really this stretch, but the next stretch, really. Because we do have, was it 2 away games in a row, but that's Detroit and Chicago. Those 2 teams do not scare me. Now, after that we get St. Louis in Minnesota. That one could be an issue for our offensive line, but I'm reading that we are getting that's the date John Sullivan's eyeing to come back. That's really good for us against that defensive line because now we get our main dude back in the middle to potentially get in the way of defenders from getting to Teddy. And then we have him also opening more lanes on the inside for Peterson. So I think that's going to be helpful there. Like, realistically, they can win the next 4 games. That is physically possible. Just that win, that 16-10 win, was not as convincing as I wanted that to be. I wanted that to be somewhere in the range of like maybe 24-10-ish. Maybe like a wider range. So I don't know. And then I know Detroit and Chicago had a very explosive game, to say the least, the other day. But I don't think those 2 are really going to be on par with Minnesota compared to what they've been doing. So I'm not saying like there is no such a thing as an easy win in the league that they play in. So I will say those are more winnable. They're a little easier than what Kansas City was, because I know Kansas City is 1-5, but they're better than that record says. I know they don't have Jamal Charles, but Alex Smith is not a bad quarterback, and they have some weapons on offense. They have one heck of a front 7. So they can be better than that, 1-5 that they are. So, yeah. But after the Rams, they go to Oakland. That's also a winnable game. So these next 4 are winnable. I'm counting the Rams as winnable at this point. And then it's this next stretch of 4 that bothers me a little bit. Makes me a little uneasy. Because then after going to Oakland, you come back to Minnesota, you face Green Bay, you go to the Georgia Dome. Seattle, they play in Minnesota, so maybe that one won't be as hard. But the problem with playing the Seahawks then is that they do go to Arizona on a Thursday night. So that's a rough stretch. I don't know how many wins they're going to be getting there. Like, they could I'm thinking they could beat Seattle if they continue to be on this trend that they're on. Or maybe if Atlanta falls down a bit, there's a better chance there. But Green Bay and Arizona are looking pretty good. So I know Arizona just lost to Pittsburgh, but I still feel like Arizona is the team to beat in the NFC West. So I think they're one of the more complete teams in the entire league, actually. So I think that might be an issue. But if you think about this, if we can actually win up to this to this Raider game, if we can actually win the next 4 games and be on this 5-game winning streak, and let's say we only beat the Falcons and the Seahawks, then you're looking at, 9-4? Going into into 2, because after Arizona, you get 2 home games against the Bears and the Giants, which are, again, 2 winnable games. So I think there's a chance at being pretty dang good here. So I think they do control their own destiny for the most part within these next 4 weeks. And we'll have to see what they do with that, because I think they are given an enormous opportunity here with how the schedule was laid out right here. Because if they can, these are all winnable games. No one will look at it and be like, they can't win against that team within these next 4 weeks. So if they can actually do this, we are looking at potentially a playoff run here. Now, what needs to happen in order for that? The O-line needs to step up. Bridgewater needs to step up. Almost the entire offense needs to step up. I think the defense, if it continues on this trend, will be fine with the defense. So we just need this offense to progress a little bit, and then we'll see how it goes from there. I hope that they can do this, because then maybe we can build on this a little bit and then, get some things going. And one little side note about Diggs. I don't know if I said this in an earlier video. I did have a draft recap video, and obviously Diggs was involved in it because they drafted Diggs. And I'm not sure if I said this then, but I think Stephon Diggs could be the end of Cordero Patterson. I really do. He's obviously a better receiver. He can return. Patterson is nothing but a returner on this team. My theory with Patterson, you don't necessarily have to give up on Patterson. Why not slap a 20 number on him and use him like Dexter McCluster? Why not? We've tried everything else. He can hit holes, and he's special with the ball in his hands. Let's put him in the backfield maybe, because I think he's a better running back than he is a better receiver. So, just something to think about, and I will leave you with that.